Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another great episode of Sell Those Flipping Cars. I'm Zachary, and in today's episode, we're working on the 2013 Dodge Grand Caravan transmission solenoid replacement, so stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back. As I said, we're going through the 2013 Dodge Grand Caravan today. Are we talking about blast from the past or what? This thing is the mirror image of the 2013 Chrysler Town & Country that me and Misha owned not that long ago, before that last hurricane crushed it with a tree. So it's nice to reminisce on the same engine, same everything, pretty much. So this does have the 3.6 liter V6 in it. We are replacing the transmission solenoid, and the owner of this vehicle is having problems with it just going in the next gear. I had to remember this vehicle, not that other Jeep we're working on. That one as well, transmission problem. So stay tuned for that video. That'll be a fun one. So what we're doing is we're replacing the transmission solenoid. Also, while we're in there, we're going to go ahead and drain the transmission fluid, fill it back up with ATF4, okay, and replace the transmission filter and gasket while we're down there as well. We did see it was a little bit worn, and also a lot of people forget all about their transmission filter. I had a guy ask me one time, was it bad he hasn't changed his transmission fluid in 200,000 miles? And I'm like, well, word it like this. Is it bad if you don't change your engine oil for 200,000 miles? He's like, yeah, most definitely. Well, it's the same with your transmission. Remember, even though a lot of these transmissions now are quote unquote maintenance free, they're not maintenance free, guys. They're maintenance free for you. Okay, the dealerships want you to go back to them, which means you're going to pay hundreds of dollars to do the same thing that I'm telling you to do now. I've been wrenching for over 20 years, and on a lot of vehicles, a lot of different combustible engines. So trust me on this one, you're doing the same thing the dealership is, and we use the same software as the dealership as well. So this one's going to save you guys a lot of money. Let's dip into it. It's going to take a little bit of time, so let's do it. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump right into this repair. First of all, we have to take the negative terminal off the battery. That's going to be a 10 millimeter socket with ratchet. Go ahead and just loosen that nut right there and wiggle that terminal side to side, and it'll go ahead and come off. If it is hard to come off, spray it with some PB Blaster and then wiggle it around, pull it off. It does need to come off, so does that plastic cover on top of the engine. It's blocking your view. All right, down there, as I just pointed, is the transmission solenoid that we are going after. Your valve body is in that part right there. I did find your engine coolant reservoir to be in your way. Very easy thing on that. It's slide the reservoir up and move it out of the way. You do have extra hose on there, so you can move it. Then at that clamp, I'm going to go ahead and point at it right there. You're going to bring that towards yourself, and it is going to take that plug off of the transmission. Alright, so once you actually bring that gray clip towards you, you're going to see the black clip right under it that you are going to have to press, and then it'll bring the solenoid off of the solenoid pack. So that will be too easy right there. The next thing we have to get ready to do is taking the sound mat or the insulation that you see, the black matting as I point to it right there, is the sound matting that Chrysler has put on or Dodge has put on the Grand Caravan. My apologies, guys. The 6.2 TE or 6.2 Tango Echo transmission that is in the Grand Caravan is identical to the Chrysler Town & Country. but makes it a very popular transmission and not uncommon for the problems that it does have. A lot of people say their transmission gives some issues, but as you've seen from my other videos as well, a lot of people don't know how to service this transmission either. So definitely stay tuned for that video coming up in the very near future, how to service your 6.2 TE automatic transmission. As I'm taking my time with this clip, guys, make sure don't rush with this. If that clip does break, it is a bad thing, okay? You want to take your time to get this clip off. So just like that, just like I did that, you're going to move the rocker. It is going to push that plug off, okay? If anything is tied up, don't get aggravated with it. If you break that plug, you got a serious issue. Also, you'll have to rewire that entire plug unless you want to buy a new harness, which is buku bucks. All right, so we got it off now. If you do want to actually put a little bit of dielectric grease on the new solenoid valve body pack that you're putting in, probably be good. All right, if you haven't taken the negative terminal off yet, you need to do that, okay? All right, also right there at the top, I'm going to point real quick, and that is your gear shifter, okay? You're going to need to take that off. It's 10 mil nut right on the top of the transmission. Go ahead and just pop that right off because you will be dealing with the valve body. All right, guys, as you see, I already have the top off, like I said you guys should do. So if you haven't done it yet, hey, do your own thing there, boo-boo. But I took mine off to give me a little bit more vision there. All right, so there's your transmission pan, and there's your transmission valve body cover, okay, with the sound mat on it. You do have 3 studs that are 10 millimeter nuts, and the stud is 10 millimeter as well. That is holding on the matting. Now, if your matting gets torn up and, just destroyed, it is going to add a little bit more sound of your transmission while you're shifting and everything. So there's your engine coolant reservoir. As I said, go ahead and just push it up. It's on slides, and move it out of your way. That way you can easily get your tool in there to get this cover off. So you're going to need a 10 millimeter socket and an 8 millimeter socket, and I found the 6-inch extension to be just perfect for this, sometimes with an extra 2-3 inch extension as well. But pick your poison on that one. It's not needed. It was just something I did for my own comfort. So you can see I got the engine coolant reservoir off. Went ahead and moved that out of the way, and look at all that extra space I have now to go ahead and access this cover. All right, now that we have the reservoir out of the way, the plug is off. Now we're going to go ahead and get the sound mat off, and then we will be able to see the rest of the bolts. All right, magically the sound mat is off, and if you got the sound mat off, then you know the 3 studs that are the 10 millimeters. Now you get to see the rest of the bolts that are all 8 millimeter bolts. Okay, when you go to put them back on, the torque on these is 51 inch-pounds, which comes a little bit shy of 4 foot-pounds, which is, enough strength of, just putting on the bolt with with a wrench. All right, sound matting came off. Well, it wasn't destroyed, so we will be able to reuse it. Right there is where the dipstick, the transmission dipstick tube, goes when you go to put it back on. The circle, of course, is where the harness plug goes. So you're going to put it on just like that, right onto the studs. All right, now we go ahead and put that down. Pretty exciting stuff, and we get back to the problem at hand, which is getting all those bolts out. The 8 millimeters. Go ahead and point out one right there for you. Here you go. And the rest are going to run the perimeter of the cover. You will have to go under the vehicle to get the bottom ones because there's no way you can grab them from the top. There's just too much going on. But you are able to grab the bottom half from the bottom, top half from the top. Make sure you move that coolant reservoir and take the plastic cover off the engine. That's really going to open it up. And don't forget, you needed to take your gear shifter off as well, which was at the top. All right, now we have the 8 millimeter bolts right there at the bottom, as you see, and you got your transmission pan sitting there as well. I took the advantage of being down here to switch out the transmission pan filter, or the transmission pan gasket and the transmission filter while I was in here. But go ahead and take those 8 millimeter bolts off, running around the cover. Put those in a bolt tray. You do not want to lose these things. And then that will take the cover off. The cover is going to be a little tied to the solenoid pack because it has an O-ring on it. So once you actually get those bolts off, you're going to wiggle it and the cover will come off as well. Do not force it. You can damage things that are in there, like the delicate plugs on the valve body. So please be careful, guys. All right, so we have the cover off. It did not look like that when I took it off. I actually just wiped it down. Make sure you do with a couple shop rags. Wipe out the inside. You want to clear the gasket off around the outside of the cover. That way the new gasket is going to have a good mating surface. Okay, and you do see a big bottle of Gojo right there in the back because mechanics get dirty hands. Don't forget though, guys, when taking this cover off, use a delicate touch, okay? Just wiggle it side to side, okay? And you will be able to bring it off. Use a flathead screwdriver if you have to, just to wiggle it off of the seal that it has with the transmission. All right, so this is where it gets fun. Now you have your valve body. Okay, you have your kickdown solenoid pack on the top and you have your valve body on the bottom. Okay, you do need to be careful of the arm at the bottom. I'm going to point out real quick. You do have multiple sensors on the valve body. The valve body is vital, guys. And if you are running low pressure in your transmission, it is highly likely that your valve body has malfunctioned and needs replaced. Okay, that is what this Grand Caravan was having issues with, was sticking gears. It wouldn't find third gear, wouldn't find fourth gear, and that's what happens when the valve body starts to fail. Is after first gear, it is a free-for-all for what gear actually works. So in this part of the disassembly, a T27 and a T25 torque sockets will actually be your best friend to actually get that arm off. If you're taking the entire valve body off, because you won't be able to take that kickdown solenoid pack off where it is. So I'm going to go ahead and throw up a picture of the bolt pattern on the valve body you will need to take off. All right, here you go, guys. The bolt diagram for the valve body. As you see, all those 8 millimeter bolts have to come out, so do not lose any of them. They are vital. All right, there we are. The kickdown solenoid sitting right there. The valve body sitting right there, just waiting to be taken off. I'm going to go ahead and take these bolts off so we can go ahead and move the valve body out of the way. But there's something we need to go over first when it comes to the proper uninstallation of this valve body. Okay, so we have the cover down here. As you see, it says right here on the dipstick for dealer use only. Now the 62 TE transmission is one of the newer transmissions for the Mopar line. Don't worry though, guys. I'm going to go ahead and put in the process of refilling your transmission fluid in the Dodge Grand Caravan. You will need ATF4 transmission fluid to refill this. Okay, let's go ahead and get under the vehicle. We already know we need to take the valve body off, the kickdown solenoid. The valve body is the big kahuna though. Right there, guys, is your TCC solenoid. All right, we're going to point at it again. Right there is your TCC solenoid. Right there is your gear shifter. And the cable that I told you to take off just pops right off at the end of the arm. You're good to go. Do not try to unhook the TCC solenoid while it is in the vehicle. That wire harness is very brittle. It has been hot. It has been cool. It will break. And the only way to replace that is replace the solenoid itself, which the solenoid costs more than the valve body. So do not try to take that off. Okay, as you see, there was some chemical stains right there on the front of the kickdown solenoid. Did see that. We were looking at a failed valve body in this Dodge Grand Caravan. Alright, so now that we know the valve body, we know the kickdown solenoid pack, now we can actually go to the bottom. We got all the bolts out at the top. We looked at the bolt diagram. Now we're looking at the bottom. Okay, we're needing to get the rest of these bolts out, and then we can actually take this valve body out as a whole. Okay, but there's a couple things we need to do. Right there at the bottom, you're going to have a wire connector connected to the Densi arm. Okay, you need to unhook that, move it out of the way. You also already took that arm off that was held in place that I showed you before. Next, this valve body is going to have to come out in a specific way. Now you do have a couple vacuum hoses on the back, okay, and they're right there. I'm going to point out them real quick. You're going to have to grab those with some needle nose pliers and keep those in position while you lift up and out with the valve body. Okay, you want to bring the top out first, then the bottom. Do not bend that pin at the bottom that I'm pointing at right there. If you bend it, it's game over. Okay, you will have to replace it in the valve body that is built in. Okay, so do not bend it. You need it just the way it is right now. Once we actually get the valve body out, we can worry about the kickdown solenoid pack if that's the reason why you're in there. So do not worry about that yet. Just make sure that big plug is out of the way and that harness at the bottom is out of the way. The other two plugs go with the valve body. As you see right there, that's that pin and the 3 tubes I was talking about. You can actually wiggle it out a little and hold those in place with some needle nose pliers. That way you can pull the valve body all the way out. As you see, went ahead and popped it off right there, and you don't see any tubes right there because I didn't hold mine with needle nose. I actually made it harder on myself, but I'm letting you guys know that way you don't make it harder on yourselves. Okay, do take all that old gasket off. You do want the mating surface to be great when you put the cover back on, as always. And don't get any of that stuff in your actual transmission fluid, because right at the bottom of that solenoid mating surface is your transmission fluid. And so you don't want a bunch of gunk just sitting in there. Okay, there is another gasket on here that you can replace, but a lot of people don't, so I wouldn't even worry about it, guys. Okay, the tubes, if they do come out, it's not game over. It's not, you know, all is bad. You're just going to put them right back in the way they came out. And if you want, you can go ahead and throw some new O-rings on there if they are in poor shape. Okay, as you see right there, there's the bottom of your valve body. Okay, and your transmission kickdown solenoid pack right there as well. It's held on by the back. It is T25 Torx that's holding it in. Don't be too hard with it, guys. You just have to loosen them up. When you're going to put them back in, it is 51 inch-pounds is the torque to put those back in. The vacuum hoses weren't really hard to actually put back in. Just remember the way that you see them right there in the video is the way that they go back in, okay? The straight parts are at the back, and you can feel it when you made them in. They will, you know, have a little bit of a click with the O-rings. Okay, on this repair, I was replacing the kickdown solenoid pack, but then when we actually got to it and I was able to get the valve body out, we were able to see that was actually the valve body. The new valve body did come with a new solenoid kickdown pack, so that's great. It saved us a lot of money because the TCC solenoid was the real issue. Now the TCC solenoid goes for about $500 to $600 if you get it from a parts store. I hunted everywhere for this thing and I was able to get it down to about $450. Now I found the entire valve body for in between $200 and $300. So that was a lot better deal for me, even if you get it from a scrapyard, and at least get you back up and running, and it will save you thousands of dollars on this repair. Now, as you see right there, I went ahead and took the gas tubes off. I am going to replace the O-rings on those. That way they are tip-top for this customer, and this Grand Caravan will breathe again, because this thing is not driven for 2 years. All right, because they just couldn't afford the repair. That's how they go in right there, just like I have them set. Put the new O-rings on there. Make sure you go with the same size, guys. Everything is pretty easy. Okay, it's going to go in just like it came out. Okay, be careful with it. Don't drop it. Don't, try to torque anything down. You will break it. It is made out of aluminum. You can crack this stuff, and if you crack it, it's game over. Cancel Christmas. Go ahead and order a new part. Okay. All right, now that we're getting this mating surface all cleaned off, we're getting it ready to put the valve body back on. You want to make sure that you got everything back the way it was, okay? Now in the bottom teeth, I'm going to go and point right there where that dente arm goes in. You will need to put it back in the same spot, okay? So if you're looking at the notches, it's actually in the 5th valley. Okay, the 5th valley over the 4th notch. And there you go, the valve body's back in. Remember to put the tubes in, concentrate on the pin at the bottom. Once you actually have it in the slot, then it'll be easier to get the gas tubes in. Okay, they are going to have a little pop to them. Just locking into place because of the O-rings, but also watch the notches on the back of the valve body. It is going to sit in a position, so do not force it. If it feels like it's being forced and it's not going in right, stop. Stop what you're doing, back the bolt off, and try again, okay? This isn't race, guys. This is a high dollar repair that you are knocking out yourself, saving yourself thousands of dollars from taking it to a repair shop, okay? So do not rush this. If you break one of those bolts, the transmission will not seal right. It will not have the pressure it needs to switch the gears, okay? So make sure you plug everything back in. That bottom plug that you took off near the dente arm, plug that one in after you get all the bolts in. Okay, and as you see, the transmission pin's right there, guys. So if you're throwing a new valve body in, make sure you throw a new transmission filter and transmission pin gasket on while you're there, just to keep everything serviced and up to date. Great job, guys.
Hey guys, now wasn't that easy? That's what I'm supposed to say. But this one was a little bit more difficult. It is a little bit more than an intermediate kind of repair. But guys, this repair on minimum is $300 in labor, okay, on minimum. There's not really a clear statement online how much it should cost, but if you go by all data, which a lot of mechanics and dealerships and shops use all data, so do we. It'll tell you that this job is an 11-hour job. Now, most shops charge $140 per hour on repairs. So let's just say it's $100 an hour. Well, it's an 11-hour job. That's $1,100, okay? That doesn't include parts. That is just labor, guys. So you yourself just saved $1,000. Congratulations, guys. Hey, I'm so happy you're saving money. It just makes me feel like I completed something. Oh, wait, I did. I completed it with you. Man, we're friends now. We're friends. You know what friends do? They subscribe. They subscribe to friends' channels. Now, guys, if you found this video to be beneficial, please smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. It tells YouTube and myself that I'm doing a good job and you guys like the videos that I'm putting out. So thank you so much. Now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap everything up, and we're going to go ahead and top up the transmission, okay, with transmission fluid. Make sure that you have the correct transmission fluid for your vehicle. For the Dodge Grand Caravan, the 2013, we need ATF plus 4, okay? That's what Dodge and Mopar both, they're the same people. The auto manufacturer, they recommend that transmission fluid. So that's what we're going to do after I go ahead and put everything back together. Also, guys, all the parts and tools that were used in today's video can be found in the video description down below. And man, another episode, guys. Right on, right? So, hey, I'm thinking about actually doing Facebook Lives every Sunday to actually answer all you guys' questions. I'd love to actually hear them. I'd love to answer them. And I'll have all data up as well. Guys, for those who don't know, all data has different ranges, okay? But it's on minimum $160 a month for this program. Now, if you're working on a lot of cars, like I am, you know, and we are here at Sell Those Flipping Cars, then it's an awesome thing. If you're not working on your car as much, guys, check out the YouTube videos. Save yourself some money. It's all about putting more money back into your families, back into yourselves. So that's why we do it. That's why we make these videos. So hopefully you guys like them. I love making them. And until next time, guys, hey, keep on wrenching. I'll see you in the next episode.